When we talk about meaning in life, the first thing many people think about is success. They picture achievements, money recognition, and the thrill of being admired by others. And for a while, these things feel incredibly rewarding. The applause after you accomplish something big can lift your spirit. The money in your bank account can bring a sense of security. The compliments and recognition can boost your confidence. But as time passes, that same applause grows quieter, the excitement of recognition fades, and the possessions you once cherished lose their shine. What once felt so important now feels ordinary. This is the reality of chasing meaning in temporary things. They simply do not last. The human heart is wired to look for something deeper, something that can't be taken away by changing circumstances or the passing of time. When we place our entire sense of identity and worth in things like wealth or status, we soon discover that we are standing on shaky ground. One market crash, one career change, one shift in the opinions of people, and suddenly what we thought gave us meaning is gone. This is why people who seem to have it all often still confess to feeling empty inside. They may have the outward appearance of success, but inwardly they are still searching for purpose. True meaning is different. True meaning does not vanish when your circumstances change. It does not disappear when people stop praising you. It does not fade when you grow older, when your career slows down, or when life looks different than you imagined. Real meaning is not something that can be bought, sold, or stolen. It is something that lives deep within you, connected to values that are bigger than material gain. Think about the difference between happiness and joy. Happiness is often tied to external things. You feel happy when you get a promotion, when you buy a new car, when you win an award. But joy is rooted in something far more enduring. Joy can remain even when you face challenges, because it comes from a deeper source, a sense of meaning that transcends your circumstances. In the same way, temporary success may make you happy for a moment, but lasting meaning gives you a foundation that carries you through every season of life. This is why history remembers people not just for what they achieved, but for the impact they left behind. The world has seen countless wealthy and famous individuals, but many are quickly forgotten because their influence was tied only to temporary things. On the other hand, those who live with true purpose, those who commit themselves to values like love, kindness, justice, and service, are remembered long after their time on earth is over. Their meaning continues because it was never rooted in things that fade. Finding true meaning requires asking ourselves hard questions. What am I living for that will last beyond me? What values do I want to anchor my life in? If everything I owned were taken away, what would remain at the core of who I am? These questions help us shift our focus from the temporary to the eternal, from the surface to the depths. And when we live from that place, we no longer have to fear the fading of external success. We no longer have to panic when recognition fades because our lives are built on something far more solid. One of the greatest misconceptions about life is that meaning is found in what we accumulate. We are conditioned from an early age to believe that the more we gather, the happier and more fulfilled we will be. We chase after possessions, experiences, and achievements, thinking they will provide the satisfaction we long for. But over time, we begin to realize that the deepest sense of fulfillment doesn't come from what we hold in our hands, but from what we release into the lives of others. Contribution transforms existence into significance. When you think back on the most meaningful moments in your life, They are often not the times when you gained the most for yourself, but when you gave the most of yourself. The feeling of lifting someone who was struggling, the gratitude in the eyes of a person you helped, the quiet peace of knowing you made someone's burden a little lighter. These are the moments that stay with us. Giving has a way of planting seeds of meaning that continue to grow long after the act itself is over. Contribution is not just about money or resources. It is about presence, encouragement, time, and energy. It is about recognizing that every single one of us has something valuable to offer. When we contribute, we break free from the narrow focus on ourselves. Self-centered living may provide temporary pleasures, but it often leads to emptiness because it does not connect us to something larger than our own desires. Contribution, on the other hand, ties us into the fabric of humanity. It reminds us that our lives are intertwined with the lives of others, and that the true measure of a life well lived is not how much we kept, but how much we gave. Even science has shown that generosity and kindness release chemicals in our brain that create lasting feelings of happiness. We are literally wired to thrive when we give. Think about the people you admire most. It is rarely those who hoarded the most wealth or demanded the most attention. Instead, we remember those who gave of themselves for something greater. Teachers who poured into their students, leaders who sacrificed comfort for justice, parents who devoted their lives to raising their children with love, friends who stood by us in our darkest hours. These are the people whose lives radiate meaning because they chose to live for others, not just themselves. Contribution is also powerful because it multiplies. A single act of kindness can inspire another person to act, and before long, one simple gesture becomes a ripple that spreads far beyond what we can see. The small choices we make to give, to serve, and to uplift often have effects that we will never fully know. And this is what makes contribution so lasting. It continues working long after the moment has passed, creating a legacy that extends beyond our lifetime. Living a life of contribution does not mean you ignore your own needs or neglect your own growth. In fact, the more you grow, the more you are able to give. Developing your gifts, pursuing excellence, and building resilience all matter because they equip you to serve others in greater ways. But the focus is different. Instead of asking only, "What can I get out of this?" you begin to ask, "How can this help me give more, serve more, uplift more?" That shift transforms ambition into purpose and success into significance. We all long for meaning that lasts, and the path to that meaning is through giving, not grasping. Life becomes rich when it overflows from you to others. Contribution turns ordinary days into extraordinary opportunities and ordinary people into lasting legacies. When people look back on their lives, they rarely talk about the cars they drove, the size of their house, or the balance in their bank account. What they remember most are the people who walked beside them, the love they shared, and the relationships that gave them strength. Relationships are the thread that weaves meaning into the fabric of life. They are the moments of laughter around a table, the comfort of a hand held in silence, the encouragement from a friend who believes in you, the unconditional love of family, and the bond that reminds us we are not alone. Material possessions can bring convenience and temporary joy, but they cannot hold us when we are broken. They cannot wipe away our tears, and they cannot look us in the eyes and say, "I'm here for you." In a world that often glorifies independence and self-sufficiency, it is easy to believe that we can build a meaningful life entirely on our own. Yet human beings are created for connection. Our hearts long to be known, to be understood, and to be loved. Without genuine relationships, even the greatest achievements feel empty. The applause of the crowd fades quickly when there is no one who truly knows us to celebrate with. The most luxurious lifestyle feels cold when there is no warmth of companionship to share it with. Relationships give meaning because they remind us that life is not about possession, but about connection. The quality of our relationships often determines the quality of our lives. A simple meal shared with people you love can bring more joy than a feast eaten alone. A heartfelt conversation with a trusted friend can bring more healing than years of striving for recognition. When we prioritize relationships, we discover that the most valuable treasures we hold are not things, but people. True relationships are not built on convenience or utility. They are built on trust, sacrifice, and love. They require vulnerability, the courage to be seen as you are without masks or pretense. They require effort because love is not only a feeling but a choice to show up for someone even when it's not easy. And they require patience because no relationship is perfect. Yet it is precisely in the imperfections that we learn forgiveness, humility, and grace. These are the qualities that shape us into better human beings and give our lives depth. Think about the people you cherish most. They are likely the ones who stood with you in your darkest times, who reminded you of your worth when you doubted yourself, who celebrated your victories not out of envy, but out of genuine joy. These are the relationships that outlast material possessions. When all else fades, love endures. When possessions crumble, relationships remain etched in our hearts. Even scientific studies confirm what wisdom has always taught us: people with strong relationships live longer, are healthier, and report greater happiness than those who live isolated lives. This is not coincidence. It is a reflection of the fact that love and connection are essential to human well-being. We were not designed to walk this journey alone. At the end of life, people rarely regret not working more hours or not buying more things. What they regret are the moments they missed with their loved ones, the words of love they left unspoken, and the connections they failed to nurture. This truth should serve as a reminder that the time we invest in people is never wasted. Every conversation, every act of kindness, every moment of presence is building meaning that will last far beyond us. Relationships are the true wealth of life, and love is the legacy that never fades. Many people spend their entire lives searching for purpose, as if it is some hidden treasure buried deep within the world, waiting to be invented from nothing. They try to create meaning through careers, achievements, or lifestyle choices, believing that purpose is something they can manufacture with their own hands. But true purpose is not invented. It is discovered. It already exists, woven into the very fabric of who we are, waiting for us to recognize it. Purpose is less about creating something brand new and more about aligning our lives with values and truths that are bigger than ourselves. When you think about invention, it implies coming up with something that never existed before. But purpose has always existed. The question is not, what can I create to make my life meaningful? But rather, what is already here that I need to align myself with? This shift is powerful because it takes the pressure off us to invent meaning from scratch and instead invites us into the discovery of something eternal, something that transcends our individual lives. Discovery requires openness. It means being willing to listen, to reflect, and to pay attention to the whispers of life that guide us toward deeper truths. Purpose is often revealed in the moments that move us most, when we see injustice and feel compelled to act, when we encounter suffering and are stirred to bring comfort, when we experience beauty and are inspired to create. These moments are clues pointing us toward the larger values that give our lives significance. Living with purpose is about aligning your actions, your choices, and your time with those values. It is about recognizing that your life is not just about your own desires, but about something greater. People who live with purpose often speak of feeling part of a larger story, a story that began before them and will continue after them. They see their role not as the author of the entire narrative, but as a chapter that contributes to the unfolding of something bigger. This perspective changes everything. Instead of chasing temporary goals that fade, you begin to seek alignment with principles that endure. Integrity, compassion, service, faith, justice. These are not things that vanish when circumstances change. They are timeless values that give life lasting meaning. When your daily choices flow from these values, you begin to experience purpose in even the smallest acts. A word of encouragement, a helping hand, a decision to do what is right, even when it is hard. All of these become expressions of your alignment with something greater. The beauty of discovering purpose is that it is not limited to one role or one stage of life. You may express it differently depending on where you are. Through your career, your relationships, your creativity, your service. But the core remains the same because it is rooted in eternal values. This means that purpose is not fragile. It does not crumble when you change jobs or when seasons of life shift. It adapts, but it does not disappear because it is anchored in something far deeper than circumstances. So many people feel lost because they are trying to invent meaning out of thin air, chasing after trends, or comparing themselves to others. But when you pause and seek to discover rather than invent, you realize that the path to purpose has been right in front of you all along. It has been calling you through your passions, your pain, your gifts, and your encounters with the world. Aligning with values bigger than yourself allows you to step into that path with clarity and strength. You no longer live just for yourself. You live as part of something that will endure long after you are gone. Every person desires a life without pain, without obstacles, without the weight of struggle pressing down on their shoulders. Yet, if we look closely at the moments that shaped us the most, they were rarely the easy ones. It is often the challenges we face, the seasons of difficulty we endure, that lead to the deepest growth and the richest fulfillment. Struggles are not meant to break us, but to build us, to refine us, to push us into becoming the people we were always meant to be. What feels like a burden in the moment often becomes a stepping stone to something greater. When you encounter a challenge, your first instinct might be to resist it, to wish it away, to wonder why life is being so unfair. But challenges carry within them hidden gifts. They reveal our strength, they stretch our limits, and they teach us lessons that comfort never could. You only learn resilience when life tests your endurance. You only discover courage when you are faced with fear. You only develop compassion when you have walked through suffering yourself. In this way, struggles become some of life's greatest teachers, shaping not just what you do, but who you are. Think about the stories that inspire us most. They are not tales of people who had everything handed to them on a silver platter. They are stories of individuals who faced setbacks, who stumbled, who failed, who endured hardships, yet chose to rise again. Their victories are powerful precisely because of the obstacles they overcame. The struggle is what gave their triumph meaning. Without the dark nights, the dawn would not be nearly as beautiful. Without the climb, the view from the mountain would not take our breath away. Growth through challenges is not automatic. Hardship alone does not guarantee transformation. It is how we respond that makes the difference. Some people allow struggles to make them bitter, closing their hearts and shrinking their vision. Others choose to let struggles make them better, opening their hearts wider and expanding their capacity to endure and to love. The same fire that destroys can also refine, depending on whether we surrender to it or learn from it. This is why perspective matters so deeply in times of difficulty. If you see challenges only as obstacles, you will resist them. But if you see them as opportunities for growth, you will embrace them as part of your journey toward fulfillment. Challenges also remind us of our dependence on others. Struggles humble us, showing us that we cannot do everything on our own. They push us toward community, toward seeking help, toward building deeper bonds with those who walk beside us. In that way, challenges strengthen not only our character, but also our connections. And those connections often become sources of lasting meaning in our lives. It is easy to admire the strength of a tree standing tall in the storm, but what makes it unshakable is not seen above the ground. It is the roots that have grown deeper with every season of wind and rain. In the same way, our challenges push us to grow roots, to anchor ourselves in values and truths that cannot be blown away by temporary circumstances. With every difficulty endured, with every mountain climbed, those roots grow deeper, and our lives gain a depth that comfort alone could never provide. When we look back after enduring hardships, we often realize that the very things we thought would destroy us became the reasons we became stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. They were the stepping stones that carried us into greater purpose. Struggles do not take meaning away from life. They carve pathways to deeper fulfillment, shaping us into people who are not just survivors, but builders of lasting significance. When we think about the meaning of life, it is easy to get caught up in what we can achieve during our time here. But true meaning extends far beyond the years we live. Legacy is the mark we leave on the world, the impact we have on people, the values we instill, and the love we pass forward. Legacy is not about monuments or trophies. It is about the unseen imprint we leave in the hearts and minds of others. That imprint becomes the thread that carries our influence forward long after we are gone. Legacy is what transforms a single life into something eternal. Every day, through our actions, our words, and our choices, we are shaping our legacy. Whether we realize it or not, people are watching us, learning from us, and being influenced by us. The way we treat others, the values we uphold, and the love we give all become part of the story we leave behind. Some people mistakenly think that legacy is only for the famous, for leaders, or for those with grand achievements. But the truth is, every single person is building a legacy. The parent who teaches their child kindness, the teacher who believes in a struggling student, the friend who shows up in times of need, all of them are leaving behind something far greater than material possessions. They are leaving behind a piece of themselves that will continue to live on in others. Legacy is powerful because it multiplies. One seed of encouragement planted in someone's life can grow into confidence that changes their entire future. One act of love can ripple outward, inspiring others to love as well. One stand for truth can embolden future generations to walk in courage. What we do in this life matters, not just for us, but for the countless lives that may be touched through the example we set. This is why legacy is not an afterthought. It is something we build each day with intention. When people reach the end of their lives, they often reflect not on what they acquired, but on who they became and what they left behind. The question is rarely, how much did I make? But how did I love? How did I serve? Who did I impact? Those reflections reveal what truly lasts. A house can crumble, money can be spent, fame can fade, but love, kindness, and wisdom endure because they live on in others. Legacy is the transfer of meaning from one life to another, and that is what makes it eternal. The most inspiring legacies are often not the loudest or the most celebrated. They are the quiet legacies of people who lived faithfully, who gave generously, who loved deeply, and who stayed true to their values. These are the lives that continue to shine long after they are gone. And the beauty of legacy is that it does not require perfection. It requires consistency, intention, and a heart that is willing to pour into others. Even small acts, when repeated over time, become threads of a legacy that weaves a lasting story. When you think about your own life, the question becomes, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want others to carry forward because of the way you lived? Every choice, every word, every act of love is shaping that answer. Legacy is not built in a single moment, but in the accumulation of countless moments lived with purpose and integrity. And though we may not see the full impact of our legacy while we are alive, we can trust that what we invest in others will continue to grow, creating meaning that endures far beyond our time on earth.